Good evening, sci-fi movie nerds, and welcome to the Sci-Fi Movie Guy Show. My name is Mike. This is weekly show number 12. So we're going to get started, as we always do, with Star Wars news. So our first story today is Ben Affleck this week hinted to TMZ.com that he was offered the director's role for Star Wars The Force Awakens after J.J. Abrams had turned down the role for the first time. As we all know, J.J. eventually took the job back after much prodding, and Steven Spielberg had a lot to do with that. But it's interesting to hear Affleck's reasons. To sum it up, he thought this was the wrong direction for him at this time in his career, knowing that he would have taken his sole focus for between 3 and 4 years to work on the project, and knowing that he had his eye on the Batman role. So I find this really interesting that we're starting to find out some of the directors that were up for the Force Awakens role. Now, as we all know, Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy always wanted J.J. Abrams on the project. But when J.J. turned it down, she had to go to some other famous directors out there. And then when they started turning it down for the same reasons J.J. had turned it down, she had to go to Steven Spielberg and say, come on, you know what, you know J.J., let's get him on board. So that's what they did in a sneaky roundabout way. Now, I know there were a lot of directors that were asking to do the Star Wars franchise, but I think Lucasfilm, I had heard they had about 4 or 5 people that they were willing to let direct Star Wars The Force Awakens. So it's nice to hear that Ben Affleck was one of them, because that means if Lucasfilm had the wherewithal to say Ben Affleck could do a Star Wars movie, then when we get him directing the new Batman movies rather than Zack Snyder, I think we're going to have some seriously great Batman movies. Now, I always go back to The Dark Knight. It was my favorite Batman movie of all time. But I liked Ben Affleck's Batman better in Batman v Superman. So Ben Affleck at the helm, him playing Batman, I think the new Batman movie that's going to come out in 2018 is going to give The Dark Knight a run for its money. So let's get on to our next Star Wars story. And that's Entertainment Weekly got the exclusive scoop on Rogue One details this week from Lucasfilm, and has officially confirmed that the original Dark Lord of the Sith, Darth Vader, will be in the new Star Wars story. It was also confirmed that James Earl Jones is back doing the voice for Darth Vader. Now, to this, all I have to say is, duh. We knew that Darth Vader was going to be in Rogue One. It would be impossible for him not to be because of the way the timeline sets up for Rogue One. It's right before Star Wars A New Hope, and now we found out that it'll end 5 minutes before A New Hope begins. So it would make absolutely no sense to not have Darth Vader in this movie. Now, what we're hearing about Darth Vader is not what I expected. We're hearing that he's not going to be in much of the movie. He'll be talked about, and you might hear his voice on a speaker while they're talking to him. But other than that, we're only going to see him probably at the end of the movie. When he comes in, does a lot of killing on the battlefield, we're going to get to see a really cool Darth Vader. And then somehow, I think it'll end with Princess Leia's ship being trapped in the tractor beam or something, and that's how it'll fade to black. But I'm just happy we're getting Darth Vader. Now, the rumor is at Star Wars Celebration, they're going to have a full-length feature trailer for Rogue One, and I'm guessing for sure now Darth Vader's going to be in that. Whether or not it's a big part or just a little part, he's definitely going to be in the trailer. So happy to see Darth Vader back. And our next story in Star Wars news is Entertainment Weekly also revealed a lot more about the Rogue One characters, but the biggest piece of news, in my opinion, is the reveal of who Forrest Whitaker will be playing. And we've seen this character before in Star Wars canon. He's going to be playing Saw Gerrera from Season 5, Episodes 2, 3, 4, and 5 of the Clone Wars animated series. Saw was a rebel that was trained by Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano to become a freedom fighter and a rebel to help liberate his planet in the Clone Wars. Obi-Wan worried that Saw Gerrera's tactics were becoming too extreme. This was actually meant to lead the character's appearance on the cancelled Star Wars Underworld show, at point in which he would be a full-blown anti-imperialist terrorist. Naturally, the idea of a morally gray rebel was seen as too interesting to simply pass up with the scrap series, so it was repurposed into the new canon, and now we'll get to see him in Rogue One. There's hints being littered throughout that Guerrero wouldn't have gone on to be a war hero. Between this and a more sympathetic take on Palpatine, it seems the show's intent was to paint a traditionally black and white morality in varying shades of gray. Saw Gerrera was seen by even the Rebel Alliance as an extremist. So, I don't know if you've seen these 4 episodes of Star Wars The Clone Wars animated series, but they were really good episodes. And at the end of the last one, Saw Gerrera's sister is hanging on a cliff, and Ahsoka Tano's trying to pull her up by the Force to save her, and Saw Gerrera's at the bottom of the cliff looking up, and as Ahsoka Tano's pulling his sister up, she gets shot in the shoulder from behind and has to drop his sister. So he actually watches his sister die at the hands of the Separatist movement, which we all know the Separatist movement in the Old Republic kind of came together to be the Empire under Emperor Palpatine. And so he is really jaded against the Empire. And he, from the sounds of it, is not going to be a team player with the Rebel Alliance. He's more of a terrorist that just wants to kill people from the Empire. So I think this is a really cool addition to Rogue One, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Forrest Whitaker brings to this character. So our next story in Star Wars news is Deadline reported, off the heels of the blockbuster smash Star Wars The Force Awakens, worldwide retail sales of licensed merchandise increased significantly last year. However, one industry professional suggests that a very different group is being targeted for the new Rogue One, a Star Wars story film that could affect future growth sales. The International Licensing and Industry Merchandisers Association reported Tuesday at the opening of their 4-day licensing expo at the Mandalay Bay Convention Center in Las Vegas that worldwide retail sales of licensed merchandise rose by 4.2% last year to $251.7 billion. Toys, clothing, and other goods, including movies and TV show merchandise, accounted for 45% of the global retail sales for licensed merchandising, or $113.2 billion, up from $107.2 billion in 2014. To no one's surprise, sales of licensed merchandise received a huge bump because of the success of Star Wars The Force Awakens, taking in over $2.07 billion at the box office. Will the merchandise success continue this year with the release of Rogue One, a Star Wars story? Brockstein says that a different age group have been targeted, and that could affect future sales growth. The natural order of things is that the second year won't be as big as the first, Brockstein says. You have a very different story this year with Rogue One, a Star Wars story. It's for an older audience than The Force Awakens, and by nature, those don't draw as much licensing business. It would be the natural way of things if it weren't quite at the levels of 2015. From the beginning of Rogue One, it was presented as a war movie, and many fans were hoping to see a dirty and gritty movie from the galaxy far, far away. Then came the rumors about the reshoots, and that they wanted to slightly soften the tone of the movie. This new report continues to support the idea that Rogue One will be a much darker movie and its normal target an older audience with it. After all, the spin-off movies are something like test projects. Lucasfilm and Disney will be testing different directions and paths to bring the new experience to the fans, and we're confident they won't fail us, with Gareth Edwards' first movie in a series of upcoming standalone Star Wars films. So this doesn't surprise me at all. The Force Awakens had merchandise in every store you would walk into, not just at the Walmarts and the Disney store, but seriously, when I was walking through West Edmonton Mall, there are about 400 stores, and I would say 380 of them had some sort of Star Wars merchandise in it. Disney is a merchandising guru when it comes to getting their stuff out there, and you know they were taking a cut of everything that had anything to do with Star Wars. So the fact that it went so high, and I contributed to it, I bought tons of Star Wars stuff. I'm just going to say that I'm a bit of a fan of Star Wars. So let's see what Rogue One has to do with the merchandising sales, but I am super happy that Rogue One is going to be a darker tale and a war movie. So that's it for Star Wars news. Now we're going to get into sci-fi movie news. Actually, I want to tell y'all I'm changing it from sci-fi movie news just to sci-fi news because I do a lot of TV stuff as well, and I just don't think that sci-fi movie news covers what I want to talk about. So from now on, it's going to start Star Wars news and then sci-fi news. So our first story in sci-fi news is a very sad one. Actor Anton Yelchin, who was made famous by playing the iconic role of Pavel Chekhov in the rebooted Star Trek film universe, passed away at the young age of 27 years old. He was the victim of a freak accident where his Jeep Cherokee rolled down his driveway and pinned him to his brick mailbox and a security fence. Star Trek Beyond, which will be released on July 22, 2016 in theaters, will be the last movie you get to see Yelchin star in. A number of celebrities turned up to social media to mourn the fallen star, with one of the latest and most heartwarming tributes coming from co-star Zoe Saldana. A photo of him on Instagram with the caption reading, "I woke up today feeling absolute gratitude that you were a friend and a colleague. Your life has been cut short, but I will always tell everyone about you." The Star Trek star continued, "You were kind, present, old-souled, curious, brilliant, funny, humble, honest, and undeniably talented. Goodbye, Anton. It was an honor to have crossed paths with you." I just have to say that I was so shocked. Anton Yelchin was 27 years old. This is a great loss to the Star Trek franchise, but not only that, just to the planet itself. I had heard from many people in the movie industry that he was just a genuine person, lighthearted, funny. And I know we always say this about people when they pass away, but this was true. He was an amazing person, and he will be missed by a lot of Star Trek fans. So our next story is, it was revealed this week that after Indiana Jones 5 is released in the theaters, there will definitely be more Indiana Jones movies. However, no one but Harrison Ford will ever be playing the iconic character of Henry Jones Jr. again. In the next set of movies after the 5th installment, they will be based around another team of archaeologists that will be introduced in Indiana Jones 5, and it is rumored that the new main character will be played by Chris Pratt, star of Guardians of the Galaxy and Jurassic World. I love Chris Pratt as an actor. He's got the right swagger and the right sort of humor to do an Indiana Jones film. Now, I'm happy that they're not going to do what they did in the last one in Indiana Jones 4, where, hey, let's meet my son, because the actor that played Mutt in that movie did not do a good job and would not have made a good succession plan for Indiana Jones. I'm happy to see Harrison Ford back, although he's getting up there in age. I think he's 73. And that is going to be pretty old to be running around temples and dodging traps and looking for buried treasure. So what I'm hearing is that the opening of Indiana Jones 5 is going to be kind of like the opening of Indiana Jones 3, The Last Crusade, where they're going to show a younger Indiana Jones with a younger Chris Pratt, him training him and doing some sort of 10-minute adventure. And then later on in the movie, Chris Pratt might come in at the end, or may not. You never know. But that is the character they're setting up for the following Indiana Jones movies. Now, from what I've been told, Indiana Jones is not going to die in Indiana Jones 5, like they killed off Harrison Ford character Han Solo in The Force Awakens. But he's just going to make a graceful exit, retire, and then we'll have new Indiana Jones movies with the same sort of genre and hunting for treasure, but Chris Pratt's going to take over the helm. Now, that's not 100%, that's just the rumor out there that he is, but I think he'd be a great succession plan for Harrison Ford and the Indiana Jones series. So our next story is a new Superman and Clark Kent has been cast for the small screen, as Tyler Hoechlin will be playing the Man of Steel himself in the second season of Supergirl, starting with the first and second episodes. Hoechlin was in the movie Road to Perdition, as well as on TV shows such as Seventh Heaven as a main actor, and CSI Miami and Castle in a guest role. While Hoechlin may have the looks and the physique to play the Son of Krypton, I'm not sure I agree with this casting choice. I said in a previous show that I would have loved to see them bring back Tom Welling from the Smallville Clark Kent, because that would tie in the CW universe so nicely. It makes sense from a point of view that they're just trying to tie in all the different shows and give a little nod to Smallville. Might have even made people go back and rewatch Smallville or buy some more DVDs. But they don't need to bring in Superman into Supergirl. I think it's a great show. I love the development of the characters. I love the fact that they're always introducing new characters. I like the supporting cast on it. And I've been watching Supergirl since it came on, and I've been really happy with it. I'm even more excited that it's leaving CBS and going to the CW, because we're going to have more chance for interaction between Arrow, Flash, Supergirl. It's going to be fantastic. But they didn't need to bring in Superman. I liked the idea that Superman, you're going to see him fly by really fast and see her talking to him on the computer. That was pretty cool. That tied in Superman enough for me. But now they maybe aren't exactly, or not supportive, but confident in the Supergirl series. So they figure if they bring in Superman for a couple episodes, they'll see what the ratings do, and then maybe he'll be guest starring more often. I'm not a fan of this. Now, I love Superman. I will take Superman wherever I can get him, but I didn't think he needed to be in Supergirl. Just my opinion. Let me know in the comments section what you think. And let's get to our final story today. Independence Day Resurgent was released in theaters this past Friday, and it is receiving mixed reviews. The critics are hitting it pretty hard, while the fans of the original Independence Day are saying that if you're just looking for 2 hours of escapism and a fun action movie, then you will be pleasantly surprised. Independence Day 2 brings back the iconic actors Jeff Goldblum, Bill Pullman, Judd Hirsch, and Brent Spiner, as well as bringing on new actors Liam Hemsworth and Jesse T. Usher, who plays the son of Will Smith's character from the first film, and Celia Ward playing the President of the United States. So I loved Independence Day 1. I thought it was a great movie when I was growing up, and I'm going to go see this movie. I haven't had a chance to. I probably won't get to see it opening weekend, but I'll see it next week. And I'm going to go in and just think about this as a nice, fun movie that I'm going to get to see a great action film, a little bit of a continuation from a childhood movie that I loved. So I'm not going in with super high expectations, and nor should you when it comes to these kind of movies. If you're going in thinking that you're going to get a Star Wars The Force Awakens or an Indiana Jones, then you're going to the wrong movie. That's not what this is going to be. It's just going to be a fun action movie, and I'm looking forward to it. So that's it for the Sci-Fi Movie Guy Weekly Show number 12. If you want to email me, please email me at movieguySci-fi@gmail.com, or you can follow me on Twitter at movieguySci-fi. I will answer all tweets or emails on the air, and I do have one email today to read out. Dear Sci-Fi Movie Guy, why don't you tell me your opinion of Star Wars Rebels versus Star Wars The Clone Wars animated series? I'm curious because I'm a huge Clone Wars fan, and I'm not too excited about the way Rebels is going. It's signed, Sarah. So Sarah, I really love Star Wars Rebels, the new one, and I think that it's better than the Clone Wars. Sorry to disagree with you, but Star Wars Rebels, I like it because it's more in the timeline of the movies that I love. It's right before Rogue One, Star Wars A New Hope, and I like seeing this timeline. I thought George Lucas in the prequels and the Clone Wars animated series made it too much for kids, and if I was younger, and I don't know how old you are because you didn't tell me, if I was younger I probably would have liked it better, because the younger audience really did like the prequels and the Clone Wars animated series, and older audiences seem to not take to them too well. Now, I still watched all the Clone Wars animated series and I did like it, but if I had to choose between the two, I'm gonna pick Star Wars Rebels. So thanks so much for your question. Again, this was Weekly Show number 12. I'm the Sci-Fi Movie Guy. My name is Mike. And remember, nerds rule the world.